Welcome to Cliff Notes, the podcast where business meets inspiration and strategy meets balance. I'm Brandon Clifford, CEO of Business Alliance Inc., entrepreneur, investor, and your guide through the world of business, franchising, and leadership. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur, an inspiring franchisee, or just someone looking for actionable advice to take your career to the next level, Cliff Notes is here for you. Join me as we break down the complexities of business and life into bite-sized, actionable insights. This is Cliff Notes, your shortcut to success. Hello and welcome to Cliff Notes, the podcast where we break down essential business insights to help you succeed. I'm your host, Brandon Clifford. Today I want to share something with you that can completely change the way you approach business and approach success in general. It's just the power of showing up. Right. So we've all looked at successful entrepreneurs, successful people and thought, wow, like they're so talented. They're just naturally gifted. They must have had some opportunity fall into their lap. They're lucky. I wish I was born with that kind of talent. But let me tell you something. The truth is, talent is overrated. Right? Success, it's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's not even about having the best idea. It's not about being the most skilled, right? Success actually comes from consistency, from simply showing up every single day and putting in the work. As Woody Allen once said, 80% of success is just showing up. And it's true. Most people, they don't fail because of their lack of talent, but they fail because they quit too soon. I say that all the time in business, that businesses don't fail, entrepreneurs give up, right? So today, we're going to dive into this topic. We're going to talk about, first of all, why showing up is much more powerful than being talented. All right, we're going to actually share some science behind consistency and why it works, and how to get some actual insights on how to build habits that make showing up become automatic for you. And we're going to even share some stories about some people who became successful, not because they were the best, but just because they kept showing up. All right, so let's jump right in. So first of all, let's talk, why would talent alone not make you successful? We often glorify talent. It's like most successful people, they just have natural gifts and that's what sets them apart. But the truth is, talent alone does not guarantee success. Persistence does. So think about it. I'm sure you all know incredibly talented people, right? You probably have family members or friends who are maybe an amazing artist, but that artist they never finished their work. They got a bunch of unfinished masterpieces, right? You probably have that cousin, that uncle, that brother, that sister who's always got the best idea for businesses, right? They're coming up with all these business ideas, but they've never launched or owned anything in their life. And then you have that natural athlete, that person who's just good at sports, but they just, for whatever reason, they never try out for the team. And you're always wondering, like, why aren't you playing a sport? So now compare that to other people or maybe aren't the most talented in the world, but they're very successful. And you're always wondering what makes them do that. Probably they just kept going. A real world example, I'm sure you've all heard of Stephen King. Amazing, one of the best-selling authors, right, of all time in the country, right? He actually, a lot of people don't know, his book Carrie was rejected 30 times before he got his first novel published. Right? 30 times it was rejected by 30 different publishers. He was so discouraged, he actually threw the manuscript in the trash. His wife pulled it out and told him to keep going. What was his results? Over 350 million books sold. Can you imagine if that manuscript just stayed in the trash? So it wasn't his talent, quote unquote, that made him successful. He was rejected 30 times. It was the persistence that did. Another great example, everyone knows Michael Jordan. He's the greatest basketball player of all time. You can argue that if you want, type in the chat who you think the greatest basketball player of all time is. I personally think it was Michael Jordan, right? I'm sure some of you know that, but many people do not. He was actually cut from his high school varsity team. Imagine if Michael Jordan said, guess I'm not meant to be a basketball player. He didn't, right? He just kept showing up. He kept practicing every single day, and the rest is history, right? So the takeaway, even the most talented people are going to fail. Like they fail at first, oftentimes. And those who show up consistently, those are the ones who win for the long term. So let's dive into some science behind why consistency works, right? Why is consistency so powerful? All right, so I shared this in a previous podcast. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, this great quote says, "You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." Right? So This means that it's not about setting big goals, it's about daily habits, right? You want to compound your action, right? The effects of your action by doing them every single day over and over again, right? There's actually a book out there by Darren Hardy. It's called The Compound Effect, right? And so in that book, he says small, smart choices done consistently over time create radical differences. So think about like how would that apply to yourself, to your business, to your daily habits, right? If you made 5 sales calls a day, that's 1,825 calls in a year. So if you're already making 20 calls a day, make 25. That's an extra 1,825 calls in a year, right? You write one blog post a week. That's going to give you 52 pieces of content in a year. Extrapolate that out. If you did 2 a week, 3 a week, right? How would that change your business? You want to read books? If you could read 10 pages a day, roughly you could read 18 books in a year, right? So these small, consistent actions are what lead to success, to massive success over time. And the best part of it, consistency is going to beat motivation because once something becomes a habit, you don't have to be motivated to do it anymore. It just becomes second nature, right? You don't have to rely on your own willpower. We all know our will is weak. We all know our own weaknesses. So how do you do that? How do you shift and make that habit of showing up? How do you make it so showing up is just automatic, right? Let's go into it. The key, and again, you go back to that quote about you don't rise to the level of your goals. What you need to do is you actually need to lower the bar for your action. One thing I've seen over my career, and I see it all the time, it's the biggest reasons why people fail, is because they try to do too much too fast. Okay. When you try to do too much too fast, that leads to burnout. Okay. It's like building your house out of straw, right? Or it's the old parable about seeds falling on rocky soil and they shoot up really quickly, right? But then they have no roots, no foundation, so they shrivel up in the sun, right? That leads to burnout. So instead of trying to do too much too fast, use something that's called the 2 minute rule, right? So if you think about it, science, friction is the strongest at the very beginning, right at the start. So if something feels overwhelming, you need to reduce it to a task that takes 2 minutes or less. Okay, just get started. So you want to lose weight, you want to go to the gym, you want to start working out. Don't commit to going to the gym. Just commit to putting on your workout shoes. I'm sure you can do that. It takes 2 minutes. Commit to putting on your workout shoes. That will lead to you going to the gym or taking a walk or going for a jog, right? You need to make 30 sales calls. Just dial one. Just dial one number. You can make one call and then make one more and then make one more. Only commit to making the next call. That's it, right? If you're struggling to write a blog post, you're struggling to create content, just write one sentence. Open your laptop, write one sentence. Sure, you can write one sentence, right? So once you start, you'll keep going. James Clear, again, author of Atomic Habits, he puts it a great way. There's a great quote. Every action that you take is a vote for the person you want to become. Yeah, so think about it. The actions you're taking today, is that the person that you want to be, right? Another simple strategy, Jerry Seinfeld, right, one legendary comedian, he once shared his secrets to success. And it was that he made sure he wrote jokes every single day. And the way he did it, he just used one simple trick. He had a calendar, right? And each day, every time he wrote a joke, he would go to his calendar and he put a big X on it. He would write a big red X on that day. And he had one simple rule: don't break the chain of X's. So each day even if it was one joke, that means he could put an X on the calendar and have that big long chain, right? So that sort of method, something simple like that, can work in any business and anything you want to accomplish. So just once you build that momentum, you won't stop. And another key and important piece of this, getting towards the end here, is actually finding some accountability. The secret to staying consistent is making it public, right? If you want to be consistent, you have to tell people about your goals, right? Studies have shown if someone makes a financial commitment, like a financial bet to go into the gym or something like that, you're far more likely to stick with your workouts if you have to pay your friend if you skip the gym, right? If you're serious about showing up, you have to find a way to create some accountability. Find ways to announce your goals publicly. Join a mastermind group. Get an accountability partner, someone who you can share your goals with, who's going to hold you accountable. It'll give you a kick in the butt sometimes if you need to get there, right? All right, so let's wrap things up here. At this point, hopefully you understand that the winners are not the ones who are most talented, right? They're the ones who show up. The most successful people are the ones who keep showing up every single day, even when it's hard. They're not the ones with the best ideas. They're not the ones with the most talent. They're the ones who are most consistent. So here's a final challenge for you. I want you to take away and do this today, right? I want you to pick one habit or one goal that you've been procrastinating on. And then I want you to commit to just 2 minutes of an action today that can help you towards that goal, right? And then keep those 2 minutes of action, keep that habit, keep that streak going for 1 week, right? 2 minutes a day for 7 days. And let's turn that habit into just second nature where you don't have to think about it anymore. It just becomes consistent, right? And just remember, success is not going to happen overnight. It happens every single day. And you just got to show up consistently. You're going to be amazed how far you'll go with this, right? So if this episode helped you at all, please subscribe, hit the like button, share this with someone who you think needs to hear it. And let me know, what's the one thing? Here's a great place for you to make it public. Put in the comments below, what's the one thing that you're committing to show up for today, right? So that's the note. Thank you so much for being here today. Go take some action. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Business Alliance Insights. I hope you're walking away with some valuable insights to help grow and strengthen your business. If you're looking to connect with other business leaders, franchisors, franchisees, brokers, or even just looking to explore more tools to scale your business, be sure to get connected to our BAI network and check out FranLink, our exclusive social media platform built solely for our members. You can learn more about it and everything Business Alliance Inc. has to offer by visiting businessallianceinc.com. Again, that's businessallianceinc.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with other business leaders who are ready to take their businesses, their brands to the next level.